Let me bring in Mike Bresnahan, the Lakers analyst for Spectrum Sportsnet, kind enough to join us with this news with Boogie Cousins. Before I start, Mike, Laker GM Rob Pelinka called Boogie Cousins the X factor for the Lakers this season. So how big a loss was this, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's the perfect description, Dan. I'll tell you what, he could have gone 18 points, 9 rebounds a game for the Lakers, something like that, and that would have been perfect for them. They needed a big man who could shoot outside a little bit, and now that just means more time for JaVale McGee, who is more of a traditional back to the basket, dunking a bunch of lobs type of center. So they lose some spacing on the floor, which really hurts them. And you got to feel bad for DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, third big injury in the last year and a half or so. I mean, he just cannot get out of the way of bad luck. It's just been a really, really sad turn of events for one of the game's top 10 players, perhaps, just a couple short years ago.
And there is reaction when he goes down. It's just it looks like a harmless layup in a pickup game, and there is somebody who's playing in the game who puts his hands to his head as if to say, oh, my God, that they knew that this was probably something serious when they looked at the way he went down. Like they're kind of holding their head to go, and maybe they heard, I don't know, but it doesn't look like it would be a serious injury, but with Boogie and coming back from that injury and maybe not, fully healthy to be doing this, now out for perhaps the year. Anthony Davis is on record as saying he doesn't want to play the center position. Why doesn't he want to?
Yeah, I think he feels more comfortable at power forward. I mean, obviously, slightly smaller guys at that position. And statistically, he is better defensively when he plays at the 4 instead of the 5. So now the Lakers definitely have to plug in JaVale McGee at center. And they might finish with Anthony Davis at center. I would not be surprised if that happens, kind of like the small ball lineup, so to speak. But definitely losing depth is an issue for this team that I thought they made some pretty good saves once Kawhi Leonard chose the Clippers over them. I thought it was good to pick up Danny Green. Quinn Cook can give them some outside shooting. And DeMarcus Cousins, for the relatively inexpensive $3.5 million on a one-year deal, I thought that was a nice grab, too. And to see it just kind of dissolve before the Lakers' eyes 6 weeks before training camp starts, just a tough month of August for sure.
And we know that Anthony Davis is familiar with playing with Boogie Cousins, and therefore he could let Boogie play the center position. They played well when they were on the floor at the same time with New Orleans. But is there any other options for this team besides JaVale McGee at that position?
Yeah, you look at the waiver wire and you see like a Joakim Noah or a Nene, guys that have not been picked up yet and who have plenty of mileage on their odometers too. I think Joakim Noah might be a little interesting fit. He had a nice little revitalization towards the end of his season with Memphis just a few short months ago. But as far as on the roster, no, there's not a lot of big men. They really just have the two centers in DeMarcus and JaVale. Now they're down to one true center. And like you said, Anthony Davis is on record saying he does not want to play that position. So do they try to look at the waiver wire? Do they try to orchestrate a trade of some sort? I don't see the latter happening. I think they do have one roster spot left. I think they'll maybe do a little waiver pickup here.
Who do you think's the best team in Los Angeles?
That's a great question. 24 hours ago, I probably would have said the Lakers. Now it's tough. It is definitely tougher. I mean, the Clippers, their guys are healthier than the Lakers. Paul George is going to miss a little bit of time to start the season, but they might be the Clippers now because DeMarcus really was that X factor. Had he given them a double-double chance every night? And we know his defense has gotten a little bit worse in recent times, but he's still a great post player. He can hit the 16-footer. He can hit threes. So without him, probably the Clippers by a nose at this point.
How would you describe the Clippers fan base?
That's a great question. I think that they're just inexperienced. They've felt a little bit like, all right, the Lakers are the team. They beat us all the time. There was a stretch with Shaq and Kobe where the Lakers won the season series. They swept the season series 5 years in a row. They won 20 games in a row against the Clippers. So after a while, the Clippers kind of get the younger brother feeling, that are we ever going to win anything feeling. And this franchise, Dan, has never been past the second round, going all the way back to San Diego and going all the way back to the Buffalo Braves, where they started about 50 years ago. So there's a little bit of, I guess, inexperience is probably the best word I can come up with, but they're probably pretty charged up these days.
Finish this sentence. If the Clippers win the NBA title.
Ooh, LA won't know what to do. So many Laker fans. So many Laker fans entrenched in the fabric of this city. I mean, they just had a championship parade back-to-back in 2009 and 2010. Kobe, people still adore Kobe. They still talk about him. They still will at me on Twitter if I say anything funny about him or weird about him on the air that doesn't sit right with them. So I think it might be a little bit of a state of confusion. The Clippers winning a championship, I don't know if it's going to happen. I still think they're maybe missing a piece or two, but their odds just got a little bit better, certainly in the Pacific Division with DeMarcus Cousins going down.
Talking to Mike Bresnahan, he covers the Lakers for Spectrum Sportsnet. Do you think there's any chance down the road that Kobe gets involved with the Lakers?
I don't think so. I was there covering the team for the LA Times during his last season, and there was major press conferences in almost every city that the Lakers went to after the game, and he was asked over and over, do you want to get involved in basketball? Do you want to coach? Do you want to be a GM? I don't think either of those will happen. I think eventually he might want to own a team, perhaps in Italy where he spent so much of his youth, but I don't see him doing much day-to-day with the Lakers. Hey, his life is pretty good right now, Dan. He's making tons of money with all of his off-the-court stuff, including body armor and his Oscar-winning short feature. So I'm not too worried about Kobe right now, and I do not see him getting involved with the Lakers, other than certainly some phone calls here and there with his former agent, Rob Pelinka.
Did you ever think that Shaq would develop into this marketing genius?
That's a great question. I've known Shaq for years. He really did things the right way in Los Angeles. He loved being a Laker. You would see him in the San Fernando Valley for breakfast, and then you'd hear that he was in Beverly Hills for lunch, and then you'd see pictures in the newspaper back in the day of him clubbing somewhere in Hollywood that particular night. And he really wrapped his arms around the city of L.A., and that's his personality. He always has been full bore. I'm going to party. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to have a great time. And you know what? He's pretty damn smart, too.
Yes.
So I'm actually not surprised at all to see the success that he has had since his NBA career ended.
We had Mike Penberthy on, the former Laker player, now the shooting coach for the Lakers. I don't know if you heard this story, but he's walking to practice, and he's a rookie. Shaq pulls up, rolls down the window, said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "To practice." And he said, "My teammates don't walk to practice." He opened up the glove compartment and threw a wad of money at him. And I said, $5,000? He goes, no, he hit me really hard, probably $10,000 in cash, and told him to go get a car.
That right there is Shaquille O'Neal. He bought a truck, actually, back in the day for one of the locker room attendants. And so he could kind of put the equipment in the pickup truck and stuff like that. He just has that sense about him. He loves taking selfies with people. I see him down here in Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach from time to time. He's on what we call the Strand here. That's kind of like the boardwalk, right between these very expensive houses and the water. And Shaq will be tooling up and down on a bicycle, and he looks like it's 5 sizes too small for him, and he does not care. That is the, as you say, the marketing genius of Shaquille O'Neal. He doesn't care, and people really, really respect and adore him because of it.
Who's more beloved, Kobe or Shaq?
Kobe. And that's a great question. Kobe was the opposite. He was the guy who was deathly serious. He's the one who wanted to practice at 6 a.m. down in Orange County in the month of August when all the NBA is in the Bahamas or in Vegas. He's always the guy who got up early and worked his ass off, and L.A. respected him for it and still does. And they feel like Shaq might have clowned around a little too much. I don't think so. I was appreciative that Shaq had fun with the media, and he realized he was getting paid millions upon millions to be a player and an endorser. But Kobe, on the other hand, he just took everything so seriously, and he won, and his drive really captivated the Laker fan base here in L.A., and still does to this day, very much so.
Mike, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time. We'll check in with you during the season.
So sad to hear your time in L.A. has ended. Come back soon, all right?
Thank you, Mike. Mike Bresnahan, Laker analyst for Spectrum Sportsnet. You know, the brilliance of Shaq is that when he endorses a product, he wants a piece of the company. You know, the general, he gets a piece of that. There's a security system that he's involved in. I think he got a piece of the company. That's where you make some large cash. It's not just, hey, we're going to pay you to endorse this. He believes in the product so much, he wants a piece of it. And Shaq's on his way to becoming a billionaire.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.